Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday night. You know what that means. And greetings from this very beautiful broom cupboard in Bristol. And you're welcome to the Third and Long podcast. I am one of your hosts, the incomparable Shane Harris, joined by Philip Perrins and Oliver Butler Henderson. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Good evening, gentlemen. I am top of the morning, mate. Absolute top of the morning. Yeah, bit tired. At least I haven't had an interesting day like Phil has.
Well, I'm not going to tell you.
Apparently.
People that are listening, I've just had a long day at school, but I am actually proper buzzing to talk about tonight's show. Lots of stuff to get through. Some ups and downs and some exciting stuff to look forward to for this week in NFL history.
Yeah, man.
And also, I didn't mention earlier. This is I know this is a very it's an audio medium, but we do have a special guest that's joining us tonight. We have Dwayne.
All right.
Big Dwayne. Just small, the rock is cooking.
Love
Here to promote Black Adam, but also talk about the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, yes, because obviously he is very much a part of him, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
He played for the College alongside Ray Lewis.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely did. And yet,
was it Ray Lewis? Or was it thingy? Oh god, he played for the Rams. Oh no, he played for the Bucks. Sapp.
Warren Sapp, yeah.
Yeah, he played with Warren Sapp, yeah.
Yeah, I only know that because I watched Young Rock. Yeah, come on, let's get him done. Come on.
Let's get this one right. Luckily, there's only one of them to deal with, not two. The other one is shall we say indispensable tonight?
Yeah,
it's probably the best way to put it.
Shall we say?
On the lash, is Ollie. He's our Lash Gordon.
Oh yes.
Good lad.
Let's go to no, not that one. Let's go to that one. That's the one I want to press. Monday Night Football. Ollie was the only one who backed San Fran to win.
All right, so all right.
Just want to put that out there, Phil.
I sent a picture to our group on Monday morning because I woke up early to watch the highlights, and I literally just sent you a picture of humble pie. Yes. I never like to bet against the 49ers. I don't. I just had a feeling that Jimmy Garoppolo would choke, and he did everything other than choke. Like for Jimmy Garoppolo, this is an MVP game for him. All right, and I'm not going to go on about Shanahan, but as a whole, we absolutely bossed the Rams. I mean, the fact that we didn't allow them to score it all, they had multiple red zone possessions on our defense, absolutely clocked them out. They did not get a touchdown against us. It was phenomenal play from our defense. And Debo's catch, I showed it to my form today.
Unreal.
You know, just after when we had registration, I was like, all right, guys, look at this catch from Debo. Because I initially showed them the interception from Tafunga. And then I showed them Debo's catch, and they were absolutely in awe. I mean, they have interest in the NFL, my lot, purely from osmosis.
Are they like receptive, or are they like, oh, sir's on about this again?
No, it's because we tend to go through the motions. To be fair, I mean, when if Newcastle and San Francisco have a bad weekend, Monday morning I'm bloody vile, man. I'm proper nasty. And I showed them the interception first, and it was almost like a shot for shot analysis. Like I'm pausing it frame by frame on the computer so they can see it just going. Now you can see Matt Stafford reading the defense, but he hasn't picked up here. Watch him play the pass. In comes Tafunga, absolutely clocks him and goes in for a pick six. And they got into it, but they were in absolute awe of Debo. I mean, Debo is amazing. Like to put words into Debo, you just can't describe him. He runs like a linebacker. He catches like prime Brent Jones as a tight end. He can run the ball as well, which is just brilliant. But I just want to bring up just one little tiny fact about the San Francisco offense that actually really, really bothers me because it's the one thing that could actually stop us. Our offensive second half output in terms of points scored is actually the worst in the league. Week 1, second half, we only managed to score 3 offensive points. Week 2, the game where Trey went down in the second half, we only managed 7 offensive points. Week 3, against the Broncos, we only managed 3 offensive points. And on Monday night against the Rams, we only managed 3 offensive points in the second half. So that initially tells me that if we we need to build up a massive score in the first half, because whatever Kyle says to them at half time, it deflates the offensive rhythm. Our defense is lights out. They're brilliant. You can't knock them. It's just our offense that really, really stifles me, and that's kind of it. I don't want to talk about 49ers anymore.
There's two things I want to pick up on that's come up. I've seen it since the thing. Obviously, one thing that Phil's just said. There's something that doesn't sit right with me. Obviously, that the fact that you've only scored 3 points in the second half in the last 4 games every game is a bit worrying. It also shows that your head coach Shanahan isn't adjusting to what's happening on the pitch. He's not going at the end of the quarter going, right, this isn't working anymore. Let's flick things up. Obviously, you don't have the long 10, 15 minute halftime talk, but you can talk to your coaches and then they can relay the message to the quarterback, the defensive captain, and all that. And that's obviously not happening. But there's something else I hate to see this, because I absolutely hate the bloke, Colin Coward, because he's an absolute ding, 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 ding end. He had something on his show. I've seen it on social media. Jimmy Garoppolo is 7-0 against the Rams.
Yes.
Wow.
7-0 against the Rams.
They kept saying that throughout the game on Monday night, and they said it on the Pat McCaffrey show, and they even said it on That's Good Sports with our mate Brandon. Yes, in the regular season, we own LA. We own the Rams. Historically, the 49ers, even when they were in St. Louis, we owned the Rams. But it's in the playoffs where it actually counts. And that's what I was trying to get through to Ollie on Monday night. Yes, we can absolutely destroy the Rams during the season. We can go 2-0, we can go 7-0 across the last couple of seasons. But we choked when it mattered. And that is just my thing, where there was multiple times where last season, even beginning of this season, where we choked when we really shouldn't have.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Shall we roll on to the news?
Well, please do.
Yes.
And Joey Burrows has opened up a foundation, which I absolutely love. This is in 2 areas. So obviously Ohio, where he is lived, where he resides now, where he grew up, and Louisiana,
Okay.
obviously where he played his football, his college ball. So he's opened this foundation up for underprivileged families. There are a few other bits and pieces about it as well, and I haven't got the tweet in front of me as I speak, so that's really poor me. But I love this when players give back. Absolutely love this. I sent it to you guys and now I can't find it. Isn't that about right? Absolutely loving players do that. It's what they should be doing. They are doing things. Obviously, we see them all with the Walt Payton Award on their chest. Obviously, JJ Watt's got it at the moment in Houston. And it is
Arizona.
good.
JJ's in Arizona.
Arizona, yeah, of course.
Right.
He was at Houston.
Yeah. That's
you got me nodding as well.
It's what they should do. You know, they are so privileged. They have so much for them. All this money, all this media attention and all that as well. Do it for good. Do good things. And it's fair play. Absolutely.
I mean, off the back of that as well, I mean, in Britain, in schools, it's Black History Month. And we've had assemblies all week talking about famous Black Britons contributing to our country. And we've actually focused on quite a lot this week, looking at Marcus Rashford and Bakary Saka, who obviously for our football over here, they've done so much for their communities, in London, as well as Manchester. And I think it's something that we take for granted a lot of the time, that so many of these players in our country, but also across the pond, come from very working class, poor backgrounds. And they've had to claw themselves up. I mean, I don't know Burrow's background, completely, but there are so many players in the NFL that come from those massively disadvantaged backgrounds, those disadvantaged areas, like whether it's in Philadelphia or Detroit or Baltimore, these really, really dirt poor areas. And they put themselves on a pedestal. No, but honestly, it is. Oh my God, there he is.
Wait, what's this? What's this?
It's a bit noisy back there, dude.
Bobby Lashley.
Mate, you look a bit gone.
You couldn't leave the Rams thing.
What are we talking about?
Joey
We're talking
Burrow
about
and
Joe Burrow.
Oh yeah, he's gonna light up the court tonight.
Yeah.
he's very quiet there, Ollie.
Yeah, I'm at the pub.
No, you don't
Yes,
say,
we are
mate.
together.
I've got two pints here. Bruce, what do you think about that goal tonight? Oh, Joe Burrow tonight. Yeah, okay, don't worry. Okay, lads, I'm gonna go because I'm at the pub.
See you later, man.
Just so I
Go on,
can
bud.
say hi.
Right. Anyway, Phil, as you were saying, before we got rudely interrupted.
Yeah, from these disadvantaged backgrounds. And I know over in our culture over here where footballers have that kind of like pushback of going, well, we're not role models, we're not on a pedestal, all we do is play football for a living. But they're more than that, because I think sometimes they don't realize that people look up to them, that they are in positions of influence.
Oh, yeah, especially
Joe
kids. Yeah.
Burrow. I mean, Joe Burrow, one season in Cincy last year has skyrocketed him, into the American culture, this American kind of dream where one good, he could probably live the rest of his career off of just that one good season last year in Cincinnati.
He did more than Andy Dalton did for them in 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
He did more than Trent Dilfer, and Trent Dilfer was in a team that won a Super Bowl. So, he'll be remembered longer. Sorry, what was that? Just the one? What about a handful of rings, mate? A handful of rings.
But no. I'm really saying because I know how much you love to talk about the fact that Trent Dilfer has one Super Bowl ring. Yeah, that's fine.
Joe Montana has 4. Steve Young has 3. We can
but you know how good they are. You don't have a very good opinion of Trent Dilfer. Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't. Personally, to be fair.
Get him on a show.
I'm over the moon for Joe. He seems like such a good guy as well.
Oh God, yeah.
In terms of in a week where there's been bad press about certain former wide receivers in the NFL doing absolutely scummy things, and we hear news of players getting arrested on drug charges or assault or battery or speeding. It's so nice to hear positive stories, really, really good.
Yes, John, we have. One of them's gone.
Durant, you're safe.
Yeah, the other one was quite brief, thankfully.
I just don't rate him. I just don't the day that he actually popped up on this week of NFL history. That's right, because he's not actually a part of NFL history.
Yeah, I'm going to skip past the Patriots bit because it is rolling across the bottom. Obviously, Jamie Collins is returning for this 4th stint. And Garrett Gilbert is rolling back as well, obviously, because Mac's out. Brian Hall is into concussion protocol at the moment as well, so obviously as a backup. The one I want to roll on to is the NFLPA looking to changing the concussion protocol. Is it a little too late?
Well, I didn't get a chance to say it on Monday night. Isn't it every NFL team employs a independent doctor for every game just to evaluate mid-game? And what came out of Miami is that they fired said independent doctor.
Yep.
So is it whether or not? It sucks for Tua, but do you think maybe his injury is a necessary evil to actually make teams held accountable for?
I know exactly what you mean. It's a case of, we'll keep it as it is until something happens.
Yeah.
And as we know, Phil, I hate to keep going back to it all the time. You've only got to look at all the wellness policy violations in WWE. They're all on a certain substance at some time or another. It only takes that one instance, possible death or what have you, to make people stand up and take notice. So this is the same in the NFL.
We definitely. We can look at boxing. We can look at the NFL. We can look at pro wrestling. Who would have thought that getting hit in the head consistently would be bad for your overall health across multiple years? Me and Shayna were massive WWE fans. We could just look at the Chris Benoit tragedy.
Yes.
With his health. We just look at wrestlers now that are in their 60s. Have you listened to Ric Flair talk? He can't string a sentence together without slurring.
No.
He's also an alcoholic as well, but he's multiple things on top of that. So we do have to keep I mean, it's one thing with them training with like the rugby caps on when like during the off season, but we do have to make sure that the players' safety is first. I mean, I got concussed. I mean, I played rugby in high school, and then when I played American football for the 3 years at university, this is before I played senior ball. I got concussed twice in 3 years, and the second time was the worst because I didn't get pulled from the team. I was still on the pitch. There was one point where we was in a huddle, and like my head coach saw me wandering off the pitch, like walking around, not knowing where I was going. Like the second concussion was genuinely worse. It wasn't treated properly.
Was that the Royals?
Yeah, that was when I was at the Royals. So the first one I got was against Birmingham, and that was, well, I don't want to say it was fine, but I remember everything that happened. But like that second one where we played Lincoln, I know it was Bath, and it's such a surreal experience. But then nobody was willing to take me out of that environment. It was just kind of like, well, just keep going. You've been hit in the head. Do you know what day it is? Do you know how many fingers I'm holding up? All right, go back in. So there's still this culture around not treating it seriously. It just seems like a lot of red pen. Oh, let's send Tua back in. Oh, he says he's fine. Oh, let's believe him. And it's just that was just such an avoidable thing that happened last week with Tua that it was just very ignorantly walked into. I'm really sorry.
I said last week is a case of they would put players' health at risk just for the win, and the win is important,
Yeah.
The funny thing is, or the ironic thing is, that NFL is seen as the leader in concussion protocols.
Yes.
Football follows it. Rugby follows it. Cricket even follows it now. Yet they are still trying to get a grasp of it near enough, more than anything else.
Yeah.
And take control of it. When you've got instances like what's happened to Tua over the last 10 days, 10, 11 days, whatever it is now, it just shows that NFL isn't as rosy around concussion as everyone thinks it's going to be.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett is now in control of the Steelers' offense.
Oh, all right. Shane, as a divisional rival, how do you feel?
He's a rookie. It's an upgrade for them. Obviously bad for us, but I think he done well last week in his debut.
Hello,
and I
Laura.
think
Hello.
all right, but no, but I think go on, John. What's that?
Medic should make the final decision. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But as a player, we all probably say anything to remain a game. We said that exactly the same thing last week. The players want to play, and they've got to be held accountable for it as well as the teams.
100%, man. 100%.
No, like I said, I think it's a good. Yeah, I think it's a good idea for them to pick Kenny Pickett. I mean, they picked him high in the draft for a reason. They obviously thought, right, he's going to be decent. We're going to build our franchise around him, but we'll have an established quarterback like Trubisky in place just to sort of ease Kenny Pickett into the league. And then if Kenny Pickett does fall apart, they've got to rely on this rookie. Some rookies work out, some rookies don't. And as for the first game that we've seen, it's only a little preview, but he looks decent so far.
I remember when Baker came in, obviously because Tyrell got injured, and there was the occasional game sometimes that they would pull Baker out and play Tyrell for the rest of the game just to steady that little bit of ship. And having that veteran quarterback on your bench is massive. I mean, Mac didn't have that last year. I'm surprised they cut Cam because, it's not going right for Mac. Let's put Cam in just to steady the ship a little bit.
I mean, I always felt with, and I'll come back onto Kenny in a second and my opinion of it, but I always feel with players like Cam, and this is even going back to Tim Tebow as well, that off-field distraction is a distraction for the team because of just who they are.
I get that.
I mean, Tim Tebow, by all accounts of anyone that's ever talked to him, is one of the nicest guys ever. He's such a team guy, very, very humble. But because of that huge hype of him coming out of college, I mean, I don't know why the Broncos drafted him to begin with because they didn't really want him. But it was such a distraction when he sat on the bench. It's the same thing with Colin Kaepernick. No team wants to pick Colin Kaepernick because they don't look at his stats because of his last season in San Francisco. It was appalling. But because of all of what he brings to a team in terms of his outside perception.
The circus.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a better choice of words. Now, how I feel about Kenny is actually how I feel about Mac this year as well. Because I don't think Kenny has that offensive, nurturing that I think will develop him. I think he's going to make a lot of mistakes, but because I don't think he's got the right coaching, he's going to be developed in the right way for now. Whilst I feel with Mac had such a, in hindsight, Mac had such a great season last year.
Yeah.
And I put that back to McDaniels so much. But now McDaniels is gone, and in true Bill Belichick style, he's just like, next person up then, you'll do. And I don't think he had that development because he's not all there yet. He's not quite there yet. And I think that's going to stunt his growth, because we can just look at what bad coaching did for Trevor Lawrence last year, and look what good coaching's doing him for this year. And I think Kenny's going to
do good on Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But he wasn't the reason for it. No. And I think Kenny looked amazing, but the Steelers were still playing the Jets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Kenny's got. Sorry, boys, go on.
No, go on, Shane.
I mean, Kenny's got big shoes to fill, and even bigger helmet as well.
That's the problem. No, that's the problem with having Drew Brees in New Orleans, Brady at New England, almost Phillip Rivers in Indianapolis, not Phillip Rivers, or San Diego. Andy Luck. These big players, these great. Eli Manning in New York. Yeah. Okay, yes, Eli. Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers. These star quarterbacks, these absolute goats and legends are going to be. Next man up isn't always going to be the right one.
Yeah.
No.
And you're going to take 2 or 3 quarterbacks to get to that stage, and it is difficult. I mean, you've had it in San Francisco. You've had it with Joe Flacco. You've got with Lamar, you've got probably a good situation, but it took him 2 or 3 years to get where he is now.
Yeah. Well, it's trial and error, definitely. Yeah, with the fact that we've traced in Town and Town Huntley as well, but it just hasn't worked out. Luckily, we've got Lamar. Not every team is as fortunate as that.
Yeah. I mean, you took him at 32.
Yeah, he was on the board for a while,
which was a shock. But yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, I like Kenny. I think he did. I liked him at Pitt. It's a bit weird him wearing the 2 gloves. I'm still going to get used to that. But
which other quarterback wore 2? Was it Teddy Bridgewater that wears 2 gloves? I know Peyton used to wear 2 gloves towards the end of his career, but I always find it really weird when a quarterback wears 2 gloves. It's just weird to me. Yeah. But yeah.
It's strange. It's strange. I mean, obviously we've got one player starting his career now, and we've got 2 saying goodbye to the NFL. One of them after 2 games in Tampa. Sod this, I've played with Brady, I ain't doing that anymore. I'm out of here. Cole Beasley obviously got signed as a free agent about 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Played 2 games for Tampa and gone, I've had enough of this. I like Cole Beasley. I think Cole Beasley is always a really good, especially at Buffalo. He was really good, and I'm surprised Dallas let him go.
Yeah. I mean, his stats were always very deceptive to me, because I always thought he brought more to a team than his stats actually suggested.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're not horrible stats, but I just thought, looking at his careers, he made 554 receptions for 5,726 yards and 34 receiving touchdowns across a 10-year career. So, he went undrafted as well.
I know. It's mad, isn't it? Absolutely mad that someone, and then you got someone like Jules, who was a 7th round pick as a quarterback and still had so much success. It just shows. Cooper Kupp was a 4th round pick. It just shows wide receivers can go anywhere in the board and still be superb players.
I remember George Kittle was a 5th round pick for 49ers.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's ridiculous sometimes.
The draft is a lot on it.
When teams lose a big star quarterback, the next one comes in is always going to be prepared to their predecessor. Which is exactly true. Yeah, exactly true.
I hate to bring this point up again, but that's exactly it, because I've been reading Steve Young's autobiography, and he said, for years after, it was 3 years after they got rid of, 3 years when Joe Montana was on the injury list, and before he got traded to Kansas City.
John.
He totally lived in Joe Montana's shadow. He said that himself. It actually properly mentally affected him, that he knew that he would never be loved in his own team until he won a Super Bowl, because he was always being compared to Joe Montana. And this is Hall of Famer Steve Young, the great Steve Young, feeling insignificant next to the star quarterback that was before him.
Excuse me.
So
Yeah, definitely.
It's like that. And he went undrafted because he played in the USFL. I mean, he came over to San Francisco as a trade because the Buccaneers wanted to get rid of him. But they did all right in the end. But yeah, Cole Beasley played for Dallas for 6 years. Then he was in Buffalo. I thought he was in Buffalo for a wee bit longer than he actually was. But I also don't think all is well in Tampa. I mean, you don't go from Buffalo to go playing for Tom Brady and go after a couple of games.
No, you're all right. But the same for me.
I think there's
all is not well in Tampa. All is not well, and it's not just Tom Brady.
I think Tom Brady's off the field antics is going to play a lot of issues in Tampa.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. And the fact that you got Bruce Arians up in the office somewhere doing something. Todd Bowles is always going to be looking over his shoulder, going, "Am I doing the right thing here, boss?"
Yeah, it's the Man United effect. Well, like with Sir Alex Ferguson constantly being in the shadow at every Manchester United game, on the training field, all around the offices, he's constantly there. So I can definitely understand, but there's something really wrong in that culture, and they'll have a winning season, they'll get to the playoffs, but all is really not well. And just a quick kind of like ethics question: if what we hear is true that they are getting a proper divorce, because that was in the New York Post today. If you're Tom Brady and Giselle gives you an ultimatum, quit now or I'm leaving you, what do you think Tom Brady does?
Well, he's still there, so I think that speaks for itself.
Imagine that, genuinely. Where's that? Where did you get your
John? I don't know if you're taking a minute, but yeah, it's, I'm repping Boston College, so I got this from a shop in Boston, and 5 points, 5 bonus points to the prediction league if anyone knows of the current, without Googling, NFL quarterback that played at Boston College.
Pass.
Boston College.
I don't understand college football still.
Fair enough, man. That's cool. What are you doing with that?
Yeah.
Blake Bortles has also hung up his gloves. I thought he retired a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, Clay Matthews also announced his retirement as well this week. I forgot to add.
Who has?
Clay Matthews.
Yeah, I definitely thought he'd gone ages ago.
Yeah,
that's all right now. He hasn't played in 4 years, but he officially announced his retirement this week.
The last time I saw Clay Matthews was in Pitch Perfect 2.
You can tell what you do in your spare time.
Oh no, I love Pitch Perfect, man. Like it's
come on.
It's a proper drama teacher film.
You just put it on the background at home and just like, I do. Just pop around, do something else, and sing along to songs every now and then. Yeah, I mean, I've seen Blake Bortles several times at Wembley, and I've sat with Jags fans, and you could see them go, no. Oh my God, he's made that pass. But he took them to the playoff. He took them to a championship game.
Yeah,
he took them to the AFC Championship game. It wasn't.
Blake Bortles is the Jaguars' most successful quarterback in their history.
How scary is that?
I know.
It's weird. I mean, I've seen it. Like I said, I've seen him turn over the Ravens at Bolt in there. And I've seen him come back and beat the Colts there as well. And I've seen him play absolute mares there. They've seen him lose 40+ points, and I've also seen them destroy teams. But that season, they took them to the playoffs. Took them to the championship game. They were known for their defense, and Blake Bortles just threw the ball occasionally to the wide receivers or gave it to Jude Jones in the backfield just to steamroll it. That's how they got there. He was one of those quarterbacks, like Ollie always mentioned. I hope he doesn't lose us the game.
Yeah.
Good player.
Sorry, Ollie, and with all respect to Blake Bortles as well, I have to go back. So before I do, can we do the quick fire predictions, please? Just for me, and then you can carry on with the rest of the show. Then carry in the show.
Go on, then. We will fire the predictions through because obviously Shane's got to go back to work.
Yep. Come on.
Go on. I'll fire it in there. Then go on. Then okay. So I've actually caught you up, Shane. I'm only 2 behind now. Woohoo! I was the only one 4 out of 4 last week. 4 out of 4. So Ollie, Mr. Hope's not here. He has given my predictions of Green Bay, New Orleans, Miami, and Cincinnati. And I know you're going to go for your team.
Hold on.
I'm not.
Put my notes up so I know.
I'm going for Bengals, I think.
You
I
call
don't want
yourself a fan.
I don't
Same.
want to, but I bet my heart too much recently.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So I
What about the
go on.
London game?
London game Packers all the way easily. I don't think that the Giants defense can live with Aaron Rodgers not being fun. So that's that one. Yep.
I've gone New York.
I'm
Okay.
gonna go.
You gone to New York as well?
Yeah, only because I mean I watched the highlights of the Bucks Packers game, and yes, they scored 20 something points, but Aaron Rodgers was missing passes. Like he was not at all accurate. I mean, again, similar ilk to Brady, something is very, very wrong in Green Bay. And the problem as it progresses is Aaron Rodgers. Like as talented as he is, I think he's quite a toxic player. And without his star receivers or his star players around him, yes, they won. I'm not going to knock that against you, Packer fans. But there's something wrong with Rodgers, and I think it's going to eventually blow up. So I'm gonna go with New York. There's no drama in New York. They seem to be playing well.
And Barkley's on fire at the moment. I mean, we had a third string quarterback against them, and we was that close to beating them. That close. And it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. I know who Phil's going to go for because it's New Orleans against Sea Chickens.
Yep, I'm 100% going. I'm 100% going for the Saints, baby.
Yeah, I think so too.
We've all gone New Orleans. Then.
They're gonna come back after the London game last week, I think, because that was bitterly disappointing for them. So they're going to come back, I think.
Was it about a width of a post away from going over?
Yes, double doink.
It was
double doink. Yeah. Miami against New York Jets. Sorry, MIJ.
Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Even with Teddy playing as quarterback, they are still a very talented offensive unit.
I've gone New York Jets. I've gone for New York double again.
I mean, it's the San Francisco derby because you've got Salah and you're going against McDaniels. So you're going to go against the defensive genius of the 49ers engine against the offensive genius of the 49ers engine. And they're literally, it's going to be a battle of offense versus defense in that team. That's the only thing I'm interested in. I think Miami have enough talent to win.
Are you going to make it a clean sweep for Cincy, Phil? Or are you going to go for the Baltimore Ravens?
Oh, bloody hell, man. There's something wrong with the Ravens. There's something wrong with the Ravens. I watched the meltdown on the sideline when they lost. Like, did you not think?
Massive argument.
Yeah.
Marcus Peters was screaming at John. No one knows what that's about. But they interviewed Marlon Humphrey after the game, and he said, "Yeah, we argue all the time because we're fighters. We want to win. We're all competitive." And I think if that's the case, then I understand why he did it. And hopefully that is the case. But as I said, I think there's something wrong with defense at the moment. I really do. And I don't know. We're supposed to have the easy schedule after last year, but it's not as easy as we thought it'd be. No, but I think the Bengals are gonna do it as well. And Jamar Chase has been very quiet. This might be the game where he brings it all back.
Yeah.
So you're going for Cincy as well, Phil? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to go Cincy.
Boys,
answer your question, John. Tua is out and Zach is back. Take it easy, Shane.
Back soon, right?
See you Monday, mate.
Like it is.
Tua is out. Concussion probably going to be a couple of weeks, and Zach was back last week. I do want to talk about the rookies that are looking because there's one that's quite interesting. The one that so many teams. So Kelly is going for Giants, Seahawks, Jets, and Bengals. Oh, I've got a bug flying across my screen. Typical. Yeah. So obviously there is a few teams looking at a rookie quarterback. So you've got Bills, surprisingly, Eagles, Jets, surprisingly, Dolphins, Raiders, Saints, Lions, Giants, Seahawks, and Falcons are looking at Kentucky quarterback Will Levis. He is, I would say, Josh Allen 2.0. Big, strong, got a big cannon of an arm on him. I haven't got his stats in front of me because my screen's just gone off, which is typical.
So if you look at the stats for him, I'll just talk through like the teams that are looking into him, if that's okay, Ollie.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at like drafting a first round quarterback, especially for next year, I think the Lions are going to be in safe hands for Jared Goff. I mean, I think he's played really well this year, and again, that whole Detroit unit has so much goodwill at the moment. I don't think they'd look to shake him. I think the Saints, because I still don't think Winston is long term. I think he's a stopgap. The Falcons, yes, 110%. I think they would look. I think Carolina are in desperate need of a quarterback. I think the Raiders really need to look at a replacement for Derek Carr, because I don't dislike Carr. I just don't see him being the guy. And then Oakland haven't had a guy since Plunkett in the 80s.
Yep.
But then the Raiders have a horrible history of drafting high and wasting picks. So surprising that the Bills are up for it, and because how old is Allen? Unless they're literally looking up like what Green Bay did with Love, just locking him in and just getting
Josh Allen is about 26, 27. He's only been in the league 4 years. 5 years. So Will Levis's stats is he's already thrown for 1,400 yards this year, 12 touchdowns, only been picked off 4. His quarterback rating is a 57, and my mouse isn't working now. Typical. Yeah, I mean, he is big. He's strong. His rushing stats are impressive. He's rushed not actually that average, but he's had 9-10 attempts and all about 15-20 yards going. He is big. He's strong. He doesn't get taken down that often either. He is being sacked. Where is it? Average 2 a game.
Okay.
So he doesn't get taken down a lot either.
How tall? I think it's like you're saying, how tall is he? Because I mean, one thing that I noticed earlier is Blake Bortles is 6'5". I mean, in grand scheme of things, he's about roughly the same as The Rock, and Blake Bortles never used his size at all, like throughout his career.
Yeah.
And like
he's 6'3", 232 pounds, so he is solid.
Yeah. Thinking, like, it's such a lottery shoot. Where we see like players that we expect to hit the ground running, like what's his name? Johnny Manziel. Yeah. I thought he'd be better than he actually was. I thought Tim Tebow when he got drafted. I thought he'd be a bigger than he actually would.
I remember seeing Johnny Manziel t-shirt in bloody Tottenham. So John says they're taking because that's why they're tanking this season. He also thinks he sounds a lot like Lamar Jackson with his arm. He has got a good arm on him. His long is 70. He's thrown a 70-yard pass this year.
Is that 70 yards or 70 yards including yards after catch?
It just says 70 yards.
Oh, okay.
He's averaging 75% completion average. His average touchdown pass before catch is just around the 10 mark. So give or take a bit. He is a good quarterback.
Yeah.
I have seen him a couple, clips of him, and he is strong. He is big, and he is difficult to bring down, which is what you need in the NFL. That's why Josh Allen does so well, because he is big and strong.
Oh, good God. He's deceptively tall as well. Because, I mean, we have this idea of him just being quite lanky, like Trevor Lawrence-esque. But, like, when you see him now, because he's bulked out. He's obviously been looking after himself. He's been working out. He's getting himself into really good shape. He's huge. Like, he is proper huge.
And he always improves himself every season as well, off-season, which is what players should be doing.
Yeah.
Bryce Young, which is a bit alarming because this is many people's predicted number 1 pick. The Alabama quarterback has sprained his right throwing shoulder. When I sent the guys the video of him going down, when he went down, he was holding it low and it looked like he dislocated it.
Yeah.
It was a nasty fall. He obviously went down to put his arm down. Is that going to affect his draft score now, do you reckon?
Who's the guy that Tennessee drafted? Malik Willis?
Malik Willis, yeah.
Malik Willis. He went down with an injury. Was it him that went down with an injury? Like mid-season, and they said that affected his drafting? There was something that was a quarterback that got drafted this year that was predicted. It might have been Willis. I could be wrong, but there's him or someone else. if he's out for the season, obviously you'll probably make like the the workout days. He's probably will meet with like NFL teams anyway. He'll get drafted, but he plays for Bama as well, so that's a big school.
Yeah.
So they'll be eyeing him. I mean, scouts would already made up their mind anyway because of like the state, the level.
He is the reigning Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, I think he'll be gone by the end of the second round. Like if a team needs him, he'll be gone by the end of the second round.
And he is a good quarterback. I know Ollie is high on him, and he is a good quarterback. There has been a few injuries this week. One that's ruined two of my fantasy teams. Cordell Patterson is on an in-op at IR. They reckon he will be back. Traylon Burks, the favourite turf toe that no one ever heard of until Patrick Mahomes.
Oh my god. Turf toe is legitimately my favourite sounding sounding injury, because to me in my head, I mean, obviously knowing what turf toe is, it sounds like you've got like astroburn. That's literally what it sounds like to me.
I know.
You fell on the turf and it rubbed a little bit. But I mean, it's painful, and especially with especially with your toes and your balance, especially for like positional players. I mean, for those who don't know, turf toe is when you bend your toe like too much, and it's like a sprain of the toe, and it can be really, really painful. So we make light of it, but if you're like making those catches on the sideline, or you're on your toes, it is extremely painful. And you try putting a boot on or anything like that whilst you've got like pads around it or you've wrapped it up, it's really, really painful. Okay, it's like stubbing your toe permanently.
Oh yes, Javonte Williams, that's a nasty one, because Melvin Gordon's had 4 fumbles for Denver already this season.
Yes.
So they are now going to be relying on Melvin Gordon to be their number one carry, because they've always gone 1-2. They've always had roughly the same number of carries each game, those two.
Yeah.
Always rotated them really well. So Melvin Gordon's now going to have a lot of extra work going on. I don't know who their third back is off the top of my head. That's quite a big one. Obviously, we've got Tua. And New York, there is too many players in New York to write down that's injured. Dan Jones.
Silent in New York.
Yes, Dan Jones, ankle. Tua, concussion. Kadarius Toney, ankle. Kenny Golladay, knee, MCL sprain. Didn't travel to New York, to London, I don't think. They have tried to bring in Jake Froome, New York, to obviously help out in the quarterback room, and he did play for them a couple of games last season. I still fancy New York to beat Green Bay, though, because I think Green Bay is in a complete mess. And even with Barkley at quarterback, I think they'll still have enough to do beat them there.
It seems so weird. I mean, I can't think of recent NFL seasons, and I don't want to spend too much time on quarterbacks, but it's weird how shallow the backup quarterback depth is in the NFL, where like you see teams going, I mean, I'll take for granted, yes, we lost Trey, but we do have a serviceable quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. But like other teams, I mean, Dan Jones, New York were not prepared. New England, the Patriots were not prepared.
Oh God!
I mean, the jury's still out on like Dallas, but yeah, it's scary how. I mean, say that they might bring in some more regulations to protect the quarterbacks even more, but yeah, it's quite scary for some of these Super Bowl teams, these championship teams that are looking for titles this year, to go down because they're playing their third, fourth stringers that have been practicing with the practice squad.
Although saying that, you say you're still out on Dallas. Cooper Rush was an undrafted. He's been with the team 3 years now, and he does look like he could step in and be a Tyler Heineke, that really good bridge quarterback who can do the job.
Yeah.
And he is good. And you're right, there are teams that aren't prepared, and there's going to be these championship teams that are pretty much championship ready. Who've got a lot of players out injured. They're going to be having a lot of low picks.
Absolutely.
It's
oh, go on.
I think the Green Bay are the same every year. They don't appear to do anything but somehow make the playoffs.
I think so though, John. And you can agree or disagree with me here, Ollie. I think it's because for the last 5 to 6 years, their division has been not great. I mean, like they've got the Bears and Minnesota have not been consistent at all, and then you've got the Lions, always the Lions. I think they've got as far as they have because their division's been epically weak. I mean, just look at San Francisco. We're top of our division because we beat the Seahawks and the Rams. That is the only reason why we're top. And it's I think it's because they've had easier schedules, but they've also been in an epically weak division, and I really mean that. Minnesota, yeah,
and I reckon even Dallas, Detroit could beat them now.
Absolutely, because Detroit's offense is amazing. Their defense is very questionable, extremely questionable.
Shall we go on to Player of the Week? Shall we start with the two guys who aren't here? Let's start, as we've mentioned Detroit, let's go to Shane's Player of the Week, Jared Goff. 39 to 26, 378 passes, 4 TDs, 1 interception. Interception wasn't his fault. It was him actually trying to... I think he was trying to make something happen. It wasn't double coverage, to be fair. It was one of those plays where Amon-Ra St. Brown would normally pick it up. And obviously it's not St. Brown there, so, it's that one of the things. Ollie has gone for Austin Eckler. And I will apologise, John. No one's gone for Josh Jacobs. So if you want to put your player as your player of the week, go for it. Ollie's gone for Austin Eckler, who I've just realised I have spelled right. 3 touchdowns is his first touchdown of the season, 109 scrimmage yards. Good player. You've mentioned him once tonight. You are going to mention him again tonight in about 2 minutes. Let's do it. Go on then.
What, Funga?
Yes.
Right. So, other than the fact that he has been amazing, I mean, Kyle said there's questions about his style of play last year, but injuries to like Jimmy Ward and Tart is it Tart? Whoever else was missing has kind of like forced the defense's hand to play him in all of all their snaps. He has been sensational. Like, I mean, I mentioned against the Seahawks game initially, he could be this generation's. I know Ollie said Palomalu, but like looking back to like what the 49ers have always had is like a very, very strong defensive back. Our secondary has always been like our championship winning secondaries with Ronnie Lott and in the 90s with Deion Sanders and Merton Hanks. We've always had great secondaries to nullify the quarterbacks who are passing quarterbacks. And just and I mentioned it today in my class. I played the interception on Monday night, and I did it like a proper Monday night football kind of like scenario where I was showing it to my class, and I was breaking it down. Like when Stafford gets the ball, I pause it, look at I'm showing it all. This is where he's looking at. This is the check. This is what he's looking at. He doesn't notice Stefango because he's actually kind of like Stefango's actually reading him, and then when he passes the ball, he literally just comes in out of nowhere. He is sensational. We talk about Nick Bosa, we talk about Fred Warner, who are great for the 49ers, but our key is going to be keeping him fit and making sure he gets the ball in key times because he is phenomenal. And Monday night just like put a stamp on that. And I do think that if he played for any other team in the NFL, it would be bigger news than it actually would. I think if he played for like the Dallas Cowboys or the Packers or the Patriots, it would be all over the NFL. But because he plays for the 49ers, I think it's kind of gone under the radar a little bit. But yeah, that's who I think is player of the week for me.
Fair enough. I'm going to jump in just into though. John's not happy that you're overselling the NFC.
I mean, that's really nice because I mean, I want to see in my lifetime. I really want to see in my lifetime the Vikings win a Super Bowl because I've seen in my in my lifespan I've seen the Buccaneers win 2. I've seen Trent Dilfer hold 1 up. I've seen the Eagles win 1. I would like to see the Vikings. I mean, you could probably get rid of like 4 of those, Ollie, man, because that's questionable at both. I mean, deflate
6 is still 6.
6 is still 6. I mean, and you'll have that pedestal until we win our 6. I would love to see the Vikings win something in my lifetime. Like, I really want them to win a Super Bowl. But yeah, let's talk about the NFC. Ollie, go on, your player of the week.
We've already mentioned Detroit once in our players. I'm going to put another one in there. Hawkinson. He is looking like the play he did when his rookie season back at last. You know, he pulled in 8 of his 12 targets for 179 yards, and one of them was like an 80-yard run near enough. Never seen a tight end run 80 yards. They're normally 10 yards and dead. You know, 2 touchdowns as well. He looking back like the player they had when they drafted him. He's had quite a couple of bad injuries a couple of years. It's actually pinging up on my screen as we saw it. It is a hell of a run.
Yeah.
Shane says he is still watching, by the way.
Hey, Shane.
He is looking like a great player again. They needed it as well, I think, afterwards. St. Brown out as well. Absolutely superb. Catch of the week time.
Oh, yes, let's play him.
We've already mentioned it once, so we're going to mention it again. Go on.
Are you going to mute me as a player? Are you going to mute me, or can I talk over it?
You could talk over it. You've
You've
got about 9 seconds.
This is full on Mr. Parents mode. So you'll notice that when Matt Stafford gets the ball, he's looking for his read-throughs. Oh, but then comes the Funga, and he absolutely blitzes him. Look, Matt Stafford's gone, oh no, I played for the Rams, but that is a pick-6 touchdown, San Francisco.
We're gonna keep on the San Francisco scene. You've also played this to your school kids today.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Ollie's catch of the week.
10-yard pass from Jimmy Garoppolo. Nothing to miss there. But look at this, man. Like, not just the blocking. I mean, I just saw George just absolutely lay him out. But, like, I mean, if one man owns the Rams, it's Debo. Like, Debo permanently owns Ramsey, and he permanently owns the Rams. I love it.
I wonder how Ramsey tastes on toast, because that's the second game this season. He's ended up flat on his back as a wide receiver's gone past him. Quite funny. We've already mentioned this once this week, not in the show, but early on in the week, and it is Shane's catch of the week. If Duvernay doesn't make it in the NFL, he's got a chance to be a juggler. I love this. I mean, we mentioned it. I mean, how did Lamar get out of that starters?
Three people.
Look, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I've got it now. Thank you very much. I mean, like I said,
I'm genuinely surprised more NFL teams don't try turning things like that into more trick plays where it goes to them and instead of catching it, they lateral it to like another. I'm genuinely surprised we don't see more of that because that's how it felt. I know it was an accident, but it kind of just like a and then he managed to catch the ball. But
John, you're probably right. Probably he has picked that for the finish, and I think it is probably for the player. If you get a chance, it's on our Twitter. I retweeted it. Look at Next Gen Stats version of the run. You can see actually the run of it, and it is a brilliant watch. First time I saw this website and it was that tweet. I was like, oh, it's brilliant. Kelly is not so happy. Or great player of the week. Is it a run that's impressive?
Like I said, when we played it, typical Jimmy Garoppolo, the furthest he ever throws is about 15 yards max. So, I mean, that is all Debo. Yes. I mean, he still had to catch it in coverage. But great.
If he'd have missed it, that's a pick 6 all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% because Jimmy Garoppolo just needed that in his life for me to hate him even more.
Shall we go back to London?
Please go back to London.
Olav's catch to set up the losing field. Well, the almost double doink. That was a brave catch as well because you are getting hit.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. In triple coverage, the red rifle. Absolutely.
Yeah, you are getting hit on that one. They will be up on our Twitter in the morning and we will do a vote for catch of the week. Last week's winner is no surprise whatsoever. Still a brilliant catch.
I think this is this generation's Odell moment. That's not getting talked about enough.
Completely. It is only won by 53%. Devontae was second, so I'm not going to hold that against him at all. We've done predictions. It is time for This Week in Football. I can't do the voice as well as you, man.
Right then. This week in NFL history, Hall of Famer Art Shell was named head coach of the Raiders in 1989. Art Shell was the first black head coach since Hall of Famer Fritz Pollard coached the Hammond Pros in 1925. Art Shell's record with the Raiders was 56-52, with 3 playoff appearances in 7 seasons with the Raiders. Especially since in our country it is Black History Month. I mean, again, what we can talk about, like Al Davis, he was the first NFL owner to hire a Hispanic head coach, and he was also the first recognized NFL coach to hire a African American coach. So in terms of like our representation in the league, this was a huge step to show that African Americans can be in the same positions as the John Maddens, the Bill Walshes, the George Seafords, the George Hallises, like, you know, in the Lombardis. And it was such a big move and such an important move as well. So that's absolutely brilliant. Another one as well. Dallas Cowboys.
I just want to show what John said first. After all the drops last week, Raiders catch should be included. Love that one. Carry on, mate.
So in this day in NFL history, Hall of Famer Terrell Owens became the oldest player, 36 at the time, in NFL history with 200 plus receiving yards. He finished the game with 222 in that game during the Bengals' 23-20 loss against the Browns. So T.O., oldest player in NFL history to record over 200 catches in one game. That's absolutely insane for T.O. He gets massively overlooked.
Oh, God,
when people talk about great NFL players. I think most of it is his downfall with his attitude, with how it ended in San Francisco, how it ended in Dallas, how it ended in Philly. But we can't deny his overall amazing talent. And I think 49ers fans even overlook him when we talk about some of the great players that we've had. When we talk about like Dwight Clark, Jerry Rice. Not many people mention Terrell Owens because he was absolutely insane. He's also responsible for the catch 2 as well with Steve Young. And on a nice note as well, I'm gutted that Shane's not on here, but the 3rd of October is 49er legend, but also I guess he won a championship in Baltimore at one point. Wide receiver Anquan Bolden's birthday, as well as 49er legend Javon Kinlaw's birthday as well.
Nice. Obviously, in about 4 hours, we have got Thursday Night Football. And it's a pretty dull one, to be fair. Not looking forward to watching this one.
I hate Thursday Night Football. Am I the only one that genuinely hates Thursday Night Football?
I don't think it's been the best this season.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It just doesn't excite me like Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football. That interests me. Just the Thursday night games this year have been just very massively lackluster. And I don't think teams enjoy it because I don't think any team wants to play Sunday and then back on Thursdays. I mean, look at like the prime example with Tua. Tua played with in 3 days.
You don't mind the Thursday to a Sunday because, that gives you a nice that gives you those few extra days to get the recovery of the injuries.
Yeah. Or if you're coming off of a bye week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't like. Player wise, you don't want to play it. It's short. You're gonna less days to recover your body. You're getting battered every week. Oh my God, you don't want to be doing that. Is there any games that jump out to you? I do like a few of the 9 o'clock games personally.
Bears Vikings interest me because of just that NFC North. Lions Patriots again is another one that really fascinates me because it could go either way. I mean, the Lions shouldn't be 1-3, but here we are.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated with watching the Buccaneers because I'm expecting them to blow up at some point.
Not against Atlanta though. I don't think it'll be.
No, I know, but I mean, imagine if it did. Imagine if it did.
That would be.
Go on.
No, I was going to say that would be epic if it did. That wasn't going to be anything exciting.
Yeah. And I mean, just because I'm fascinated, Cowboys Rams. I mean, that is essentially what America would pitch as the biggest game in the NFL. America's team against who the American media are also prompting to be a top tier team with the Rams. And then Monday night, Raiders Chiefs is all.
Kelly's back in the Falcons this week.
Honestly, it will happen this week where not this week. It will happen this season where something will happen and the Bucks will implode and it will be glorious.
I think the best thing for Tampa is for Brady to go down.
Yeah.
At the moment, for that organization, Brady needs to step away or gets injured or something. Looking forward to Kenny actually start a game in anger against what is a very good Bills defense. I am worried to be playing against the Lions.
Yeah.
Probably going to be our third string quarterback starting against a very good pass offense or rush offense, or pass defense. So I should get around it. John's going for the Titans, Texans this week against the Jags. Interesting pick.
I mean, that'll interest me as a neutral, Texans v the Jags, because I said in my early season predictions, I think the Jags are gonna. I mean, they're ahead of their division at this moment in time. Like, if the playoffs started now, they would be going to the playoffs.
They'll be number 4 seed.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Jags are good. I think they do, and I think Houston are still in a weird rebuilding stage. Lovie Smith is not their long-term answer, but he is a very good middleman.
I won't say what I call him on air.
But I mean, his record as a head coach is actually quite favourable. And he is, again, by all means, a very likable man from everything that I've heard about him. I just think the Jags are, with Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence coming into his own, and the defensive Josh Allen just playing lights out football. I'm just really fascinated by them, and I really hope that they do well. So I think Texans as a neutral, I'm not really bothered about, but I really hope for the Jags' sake.
You are right, Kelly. I would like to get home and watch some of the Patriots versus the Lions into overtime, but I don't want another overtime game. Please, can we just have a nice, easy, 30-point win?
More tedious as an NFL fan than overtime. Like, don't get me wrong, I hate draws, but like overtime just adds another level of, oh my god, it's another 50-minute game time, but this could go on for like another 45 minutes, and all I'm going to do is feel angry and anxious and tired. So I personally hate overtime, but I know it's a necessary evil.
Yeah, just hope you have a toss. And John's also said he's going for the Raiders over the Chiefs. Obvious that one.
Boo! I would never bet against the 49ers.
Also back in the Raiders in Kansas, so that could be interesting.
Oh, I bet the Raiders. The silver and black, man. Like,
yeah.
Silver and black. The Autumn Raider. All right, John, just repeat their poem. Great, that's literally what Al Davis has in their locker room still. The ghost of Al Davis is saying the autumn wind is a raider.
Oh, yes, do love that. Phil, it has come to that time of night again. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in. Thank you for tuning in. As always, we will be back 8:30 on Monday, hopefully with the 4 of us again. And hopefully Shane won't be in a broom closet. Hopefully we'll have 4 happy
Hopefully he's come out of the closet by then as well.
You can have a closet if you want. You can go in the closet.
For his sake, I hope he feels comfortable to come out of the closet to contribute more.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a good evening and stay safe.